Littering. Littering is one of Earth's biggest problems throughout history and still currently through history. There are many types of littering, such as everyday littering, nuclear waste, even wars count to littering, obviously. But as Earth has continually grown our population, littering has become an ever more present issue on Earth, and it is destroying the Earth we live on. Thus, littering is a societal issue that needs to be fixed immediately, as every person is affected by it and perhaps has contributed to it in some form or fashion. It is something that needs more attention than it currently gets, and that society needs to fix before it's too late. So, what really are the effects of littering? Well, firstly, it destroys Earth. I mean, this is the Earth we live on. Without it, we really can't live. From environmental standpoint or societal standpoint, it destroys both. I mean, from animals to nature to our cities to rural cities, towns, littering affects all of that, and that is why it's such predominant issue that does not receive enough attention in today's time. Most things that are littered are considered littering because they're non-biodegradable. What that basically means is that it just does not dissolve or degrade naturally in nature. Another big issue of littering is a lot of litter ends up in our waterways, and that ends up in our oceans, which hurt a ton of aquatic animals. We've all heard stories about animals that have died because of littering. Turtles are one of the big ones. And not only that, but it can also get into the water we drink, which is toxic and chemical to not only us, but it can also get into water that animals drink, and it's not good for them either. It can also cause toxics and chemical vapors. So trash that is not disposed of correctly is considered litter, and that emits these chemical vapors that are not healthy to inhale, which is again not good for us and animals alike. And that also leads to more diseases. For humans, we don't need that. We just got out of a pandemic. We know how severe those things could be. It also just leads to pollution. Pollution is just a generalized term of just mass littering. So the amount of litter that we have has gotten to the point which is considered pollution because there's just so much of it, and that is why it's such a big issue. So, what really causes this littering then? Well, surprisingly, 75% of littering is caused by just everyday pedestrians. So just you and I, anyone. Only 20 to 25% is actually caused by corporate businesses and things like that, which is still a huge number, but most of it is caused by ourselves. That's what we don't realize. A lot of litter, almost 50%, is actually caused from cigarettes just being disposed of, thrown down on the streets. We've all seen that stuff happen in movies, probably in real life. That's just not okay. I mean, those things are not for nature, and they should just not be disposed of in nature. Also, a lot of it is just from pedestrians, from like plastic, aluminum, and glass. These also are so bad for nature because they take so long to degrade. Plastic takes up to 7 years to biodegrade. Aluminum and glass take even longer, up to a decade, perhaps even longer. That's why it's such an issue. These things just don't stay there and for so long, and it just piles up, and it's just ruining this planet and our environments, our communities, and that's why it's such a big issue. And it also comes from just us being lazy as well. I mean, what factors into that is when people go to beaches over the summer. I'm sure many people are going to beaches this summer. There's probably not enough trash cans, or there might be full, and so people just leave trash everywhere, throw it in the ocean, which again contributes to the first point we talked about, and how it gets into our oceans, waterways, and then it affects the animals. There was a cleanup effort done recently on beaches and oceans, and they collected over 10 million pounds of trash and litter, which is just an insane number to think about on how much litter there is. So, why do people feel the need then to continually litter if we know it's so bad? Well, first off, there's a lack of government control. Okay, I don't think the government really punishes people for littering, and if they do, it's mainly just a citation or a ticket. One of the reasons this is the issue. This is why is because it is very hard to punish someone for littering when it is such a quick act. You have to catch the person in the act of it, so it's very hard to do that. But there are more efforts to do that, such as Louisiana passing a law where if you are caught littering, you have your license revoked for a year. And things like that are more helpful and should be more prominent in our nation and worldwide. Another thing is most littering is local government funded, and they just don't have the facilities and money to help deal with the issue, which is just a shame, really. But going back to the Louisiana point, countries like Singapore, who severely punish littering, are doing so successful. They're the cleanest country on earth. And it's because they have such harsh penalties, such as you can get 6 months of jail time for throwing gum on the street. Things like that need to be more prominent in our society and in our countries. So to wrap it all up, littering is something that affects us all. It is a huge thing that is becoming ever more prominent in society, and it needs to be stopped sooner than later, or before it's too late. We all have probably littered once before, so we are all part of the problem, but with that, we can all also be part of the solution. So we should help go clean and reevaluate our mindsets of how bad littering actually is and help contribute to the end of it. Thank you.